What's going on, people? Uh, the scripture that I'm led to go to is the Lord is a man of war. Because, see, in Christianity, did they teach us that you ain't supposed to respond a certain way? They'll tell you things like, you supposed to be a Christian. Christians don't talk like that. They don't talk to you don't talk to your peers like this. And they take cussing for something bad. They don't break down Christianity. One thing I learned about Christianity, they don't take time to break words down. They don't take time to do none of that in the Christian church. Christian church is white supremacy. And they just, uh, they don't, Christianity is against God. Let's read some examples of how a lot of our forefathers were. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was in the Bible. Because, see, we teaching our children wrong. We're teaching our children. We are providing for them, but we're not teaching them. That's what I meant to say. My bad. We are providers. We're good providers when it comes. And the Most High God is going to destroy us for that. And the way He's going to do that, He's going to give you the command and tell you how to teach your child. See, the government, Esau, the white man, is against God. They really is against it. They not really for God. They never was. This has always have been something that's plagued our community for decades. We just been asleep to it for years. You see what I'm saying? You will get your judgment. If you don't teach your children right, you will get that judgment. You will. Now let's read in First Chronicles, and we're gonna see, was our forefathers cowards? Or we gonna see, was they men? They stood up like men. We're gonna see, are they really these soft punks like our people teach our people to be when we go around here? We don't stand up like we listening to the women cannot raise. It takes, I'm not saying they can't, but I'm gonna say they need the man to help them raise that child. Because especially the boys, because these mothers and grandmothers, they too weak and they too soft. And they don't uh they just don't have the ability is to teach their sons how to be men. Now some people might disagree with that, but it's some truth to what I'm saying. Because this is if we don't have the man in the house, because see one thing about the man gonna say, hey, look, I'm putting my foot down. The woman gonna be like, no, poor baby, don't mistreat that baby. Come here, baby. Give me some sugar. Don't mistreat that baby. That's not what we supposed to be doing. We supposed to be disciplining our children. And I'm going to get off into that right now. In the book of First Chronicles, chapter 1, verse 1. Now these are they that came to David to Ziklag. Now we're going to see if our forefathers were punks. And while he yet kept himself clothed because of Saul, the son of Cush, and they were amongst the mighty men, helpers of the war. Helpers of the war. Now we know some shit was going down. It wasn't no punking going on here. And they were armed with bows and could use both the right hand and the left in higher than stones and shooting arrows out of a bow, even of Saul's brother of Benjamin. These people weren't no punks. These were Israelites. Benjamin, who was Jamaican, these were the Israelites. These people weren't no punks. If you put your hand to them, you caught that left. You wasn't gonna come up on the men of the Lord and think you was gonna punk them because they was Christians. No, because they put you down. And this is how we supposed to be. And the chief was Ahiezer. The chief was Ahiezer. Then Joash, the son of Shemaiah, the Gibeonite. Now these are some hard names. And the chief was Ahiezer. That's Ahiezer. Ahiezer. And Joash, the son of Shemaiah, Shemaiah, the Gibeonite, and Eziel, and Pelet, the son of Asmaveth, and Barika, and Jehu, and Anathoth, and Ishmaiah, the Gibeonite, a mighty man amongst the 30, and over the 30, and Jeremiah, and Jehaziel, and Johanan, and Josabad, the Gideonites, and Uzziah, Uzziah, and Jeremoth, and Behaliah, and Shemhariah, and Shephatiah, and Raphite, and Elikinah, Ekinah, Ekinah, and Jesiah, Jesiah, and Azariel, 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 and Joezer, Joezer, yeah, Joezer, and Jeshurbiah, Jeshobiam, Jeshobiam, the Korathites, and Johalia, and Zabadiah, Zab, Zab, Zabi, Zabadiah, the son of Jehoram of Gedor. Let me read that again. Johanan, or Johelah, Johelah, Joehala, Joehala, and Zabadiah, 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 the sons of Jehoram, Jehoram of Gedor, and of the Gadites. There separated themselves to David unto the whole, to the wilderness, men of might, were no punks, and men of war. It didn't say they was punks. It says men of war. That means they were no punks, fit for the battle. This is how we got to raise our children. Fit for the battle, that could handle shield and buckler. That means they was powerful. They could handle shield and buckler, whose faces was like the faces of lions, and were as swift as the roes upon the mountains. They were swift. That means they was fast. This means that our forefathers was not punks. Somebody walked up and thought they was gonna do something, try something. Say, "Oh, these man's Christians. They ain't gonna do that." Not on your ass. They sure did. They wasn't no punks. If they, you got to do that. Ezar the first, Obadiah the second, Eliab the third, Mishmana the fourth, Jeremiah the fifth. Attael, Attael the sixth, Eliel the Eazabad, E Eazabad the ninth, Jeremiah the tenth, Macben Macbenai the 11th, Macbenai the 11th. These were the sons of Gad, the 12 tribes of Israel, the captain of the host, one of the least over 100, and the greatest over. The captain of the host, one of the least over 100, and the greatest over. In the first month, they put to flight all of the east and toward the west. And there came of the children of Benjamin and Judah to the whole unto David. And there came of the children of Benjamin and Judah to the whole unto David. Judah would be the so-called blacks, and David went out to meet them, and answered and said unto them, If ye be come peaceably unto me to help me, my heart shall be knit unto you. But if ye be come to betray me to my enemies, seeing there is no wrong in my hands, the God of our fathers look on and rebuked it. Then the Spirit came upon Amasai, who was chief of the captains, and he said, Thou art we David, and on thy side, thy son of Jesse. Peace, peace be unto thee, and peace be thy helpers, for thy God helpeth thee. Then David received them and made them captains of the band. And there fell some of Manasseh to David when he came with the Philistines against Saul to battle, but they helped them not, for the lords of the Philistines upon advisement sent him away, saying, He will fall to his master Saul to the jeopardy of our hands. And as he went to Ziklag, there fell to him of Manasseh, Adnah, and Jozabad, and Jediel, and Milk, and Michael, 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 and Jozabad, and Elhanan, Elihud, and Zabdiah, captains of the thousands that were of Manasseh. You see what I'm saying? And they helped David against the bands of the rovers, the rovers, but they were all mighty men of valor, and were captives. They were captives in the host. You know, somebody told me, they said that my voice is mild, and I can't really help that, because that's the way God made us. God made our voices loud, so that's something I can't control. He made the black man dominant. He made the man of color dominant. This is how he make us. We have no control over that. When we speak and when we talk or whatever, our voice travels. And I noticed that since it's been like at night, no matter how low you try to talk, you ain't gonna make no sense, because if you're talking too low, you won't be able to hear. But this is the way God made us naturally. We can't help that. You know, people, they'll say, I heard some people say, like, Ooh, he's so loud next door. He's so loud, loud. I said, well, let's just make some of our voices a little lower because, but we have no control over that. Just like you don't have no control over your color that you come out. Just like me, I ain't thick like this, thick and woolen. I have no control over that. You see what I'm saying? I have no control over that. The Most High God must have wanted me to have thick woolly hair, so I have no control over that. Something, and everybody wants you to change it. If that's the way you're born, that's the way you're born, bro. You know, that's the way you're born. No matter what man says about me, ain't nothing they can do about it. God is in control. The Most High, the Black Messiah, He is in control of all of that. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Even if you get mad, it ain't my fault. This is the way God wanted it to be. My voice is loud. You got to take that up with the Most High. You can't get mad with me. You can't criticize me if I talk and you can hear me. If you hear me in the other room still talking and I'm talking, you can't get mad with me. You need to take that up with the Most High. I ain't got nothing to do with that. This is the way that He wanted me to be. He know what He doing. God don't make no mistake. It was for me to have a loud voice. Because that's the truth. And if you got a problem with that, then you got a problem with the Most High God. Somebody told me that one time. That's the reason why I kind of paused to speak on that. You see what I'm saying? Because people are sitting around and they are looking. I don't like what he's saying. No way. I'm trying to hold out as long as I could, and I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna tell him he. I'm gonna go tell him he loud. You know what I'm saying? Some of them are so dirty. They're trying to call Esau the enemy. They're trying to sick the enemy on. Call Esau the enemy. They're trying to sick the enemy on. I said, oh, I'm gonna call the police. Yeah. And we know that the enemy don't like the truth, no way. The so-called white man don't like the truth. But I don't give a damn, Esau. I don't give a damn if you don't like the truth. The so-called white man, the Caucasian man, the devil the Bible speaks of, belongs to the Most High. Most High God created me. You got you got a problem with the Most High. It is what it is. Hmm. People will try to criticize you because people is envious of the truth, man. Do y'all know how many people is envious of this truth? When you speak it and you speak it, they hate it with a passion. And when they hate the truth, they dangerous. They have you killed. The enemy is dangerous. They don't like this truth. They don't like the idea that even though we have a voice to speak and record these things and put them on social, on the platform and record videos, deep down within, they don't like that. They'll say they do, but deep down within, the so-called white man don't like this. If they can really demolish the truth and erase it all, they would do it. Esau don't like the truth. It's not in his nature. It's not inbred in his nature. It's to love the truth. And anybody who is programmed and conditioned into loving a slave master, what do you think they're gonna do? Do you think they're gonna have a love for this truth? Hell no. Hell, hell fucking no. They not gonna have no love for this truth. They gonna be trying to take you out because it's about themselves. You see what I'm saying? You can tell people that's in the spirit, and you can tell what the Bible says, you should be hated of all men for my name's sake, right? The devil hates the truth. He hates when you break it down. He don't want you to break this stuff down. He using, I hate to say it like this, but it's the truth. And I don't hate to say it, but I'm gonna expose the truth. A lot of our people been conditioned is to love their slave master, the so-called white man. And because they had the spirit of the so-called white man upon them, the spirit of witchcraft of his spirit on them, they gonna work to destroy you worse than they will. Think about it. Do you think the devil loved this truth? The goddamn devil do not love this truth. Think about that for a moment. The devil hates this truth. If he can wipe it out and erase it right now, he'll do it. The devil don't like it, though. They don't like this truth. The devil hates this truth with a passion, bro. They don't like you, and they video about this months ago, almost a year. I think if you scroll long enough, I did part one, two, three, and four. I said people have they black in skin, but they have a Caucasian mindset. They dark on the outside, because see, it's not about skin color. And I really broke it down really well. Go check them out. Just type in black people have, our people have, you can be a person of color and you can have a Caucasian. You are a black person, a so called black person by DNA, but your spirit, your mind, your way, the way you think is of a Caucasian man. You have the thinking of the nationality and the race of the Caucasian people. Like if you like, for example, let me give you an example. If I say I don't care what color you is, it's not about color. If you got a foul spirit, I don't care what color you is, I don't care what race you is, I don't care what nationality you is. You have what's that word I want to use? They say uh the snake in the grass come in all colors. This is what a man by the name of Mr. T West, he was a YouTuber. I don't know if he's still on here. I might have to go and look him up. But he's a brother. He said, snake in the grass come in all colors. And when you speak like that, you're speaking and thinking the way a Caucasian white man wants you to think. You see what I'm saying? Our people is in that mindset. Not by DNA, they're not like that. They have been programmed and conditioned in their mind is to think like that. And our real nationality been beat out of us during slavery. And the so-called white man knew what he was doing when he did that, because he don't want you to know nothing about yourself. That's why they don't want the Negroes to know who they are. The so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American. They don't want so-called black men to know who he is. Why you think they fill up the population of the prison system? Do you think they want you to wake up and know who you really are? Hell fucking no. They don't want you to know who you are, not according to God. Do y'all know they paying thousands, or as I say, millions of dollars to keep that head? Do y'all know this? Come on now. You can't dispute me no kind of way. Not no one, not even no one. don't care how educated you are or how good you are at manipulating. You cannot defute me on this. And I would say the same thing to that man who's trying to convince his uncle that he wasn't a slave. Shame on you. And your uncle went through a whole lot. And then you had the nerve to tell your uncle, why is you reading the Bible? I can imagine he was blown away when he heard him say that. He did the best he could, bringing him to church, even though he wasn't in the right faith, but he still did the best he could to lead them to Christ or what he knew. But when he learned better, then now they want to say he wasn't a slave. And his brother's been locked up all their life. And his uncle lived in a single parent household to a mother, never had a father in his life. He said and he said that to his uncle. I'm speaking up for him. You ought to be, man, look, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You is too dominant in the mind. You got too much knowledge and understanding not to understand that. But you want to take your knowledge and you want to use it and twist things since you so smart or since you so wise and so or you educated, you're using it to your advantage in the wrong way. You're gonna be held accountable. Trying to bless your uncle ain't no damn food. Bless your uncle is not a damn food. Cause I know when you try to throw that information on him, he destroy your ass with facts. He destroy you with facts because you come. I don't know why you would tell your uncle some shit like that. I can imagine what that man did. That man never owned a car. That man never owned none of that. He never owned. He never even owned his own barely owned the fucking bicycle. And it just when I hear stuff of other brothers doing their brothers like that, it pisses me. It pisses me the fuck off. One thing about me, people know I will stand for my brother. And I'm not going against my brother or my sister for a so-called white woman, a white man, a white child, none of them. No race. But my own black men and black brothers. Because the so-called black man, they go through too much. Because they represent our fathers. You see what I'm saying? Our so-called black people need to be honored. I don't honor no other race above my people because the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American man, our people are the gods, bro. They endure. We all endure so much. Yeah, we endure so much. We do. Poor living in the hood. I just hope that that dude that spoke all this stuff to his uncle, I hope he make it up to his uncle one day and really realize, to be honest with you, no disrespect to you, that your uncle tell you you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You need to go back and redo evaluation with your study. And then telling you you're not living in slavery, you're enslaved in your mind because when you think like that. Go try and drive a car around here with no driver's license or no insurance to see what's gonna happen to your ass while you sitting there talking that crazy shit. Go drive a car with no driver's license, and you're gonna see just how much Esau love our ass, including me. Take and drive a car with no insurance and no driver's license, and you're gonna see the devil in Esau, the so-called white man. You're gonna see the goddamn devil come out of it. And you're gonna find out real goddamn quick how much you love. You're gonna find out that day what hate is. You're gonna know what it means. You're gonna be able to break it down. When Esau get through with you, he gonna show you he ain't your friend. Get out there and drive out there on the highway. He gonna show you he ain't your friend. Try driving your car and get out there on the road. Just keep doing it. You may not get stopped one day, 2, 3, 4, 5. It may be a couple of months. But eventually, when they do stop you, you're gonna find out just how much, and you're gonna see some hate that day. You're gonna know exactly what it means because he gonna give you the biblical definition of it when he pull you over. You're gonna know the biblical definition of hate. And you're gonna know the opposite of love from hate, and you're gonna know who's hated in this world and who ain't hated when Esau get through with you. Because he gonna make sure he take your ass, he gonna the so-called white man, if you driving without a driver's license, no insurance, they gonna treat you like you is the worst fucking criminal ever. You can go in the store. Let me tell you how evil Esau, the so-called white man, is. You can go into the store with other bags. If you don't leave them bags in the front and you ain't got no receipt for the food that you came from a previous store, they gonna claim all of that food you got. You got it out their store. That's how fucked up and demonic Esau is, the so-called white man. They will even call the law on you. If you ain't got no receipt, they will call the law on you. That's the way Esau is. Esau is that demonic. He gonna show you the biblical definition of hate when he get through with you. Go in there, go in his store with no receipt. Even that, not just the car. The car is the thing. Get in your car. Take your insurance and your driver's license. Leave them in your house. Take your license plate off the back of your car and get on the road and drive. And keep doing it. And let a so-called white man be behind you in one of them so-called police cars. And they see that. You're gonna hear them sirens gonna come on. Roo, roo, roo. He gonna give you that day. The so-called white man will give our people the biblical definition of what fucking hate is. You're gonna find out real quick when they see your driver's license. Okay, if you got your driver's license, that's fine. They still gonna let me see them. Take them to their car, check it, run it through a scan, check you out. And what they be doing, they be trying to see, target us. See if you got it. They'll take your hands out your pocket, sit right there and sit on the ground and don't move. Or sometimes they'll turn around and detain you while they're going to do. And once they put handcuffs and all that shit, see Esau is it's so disgusting. I don't like talking about Esau like that because it put me in a position to remind me of what's going on. But he gonna show you that day who the enemy is. You gonna learn the definition of hate, and you gonna learn the definition of who the enemy, what an enemy is, and who the enemies are. Because he gonna definitely show out that day to you, us. I never owned a car in my life. I'm not saying that I can't own them, but it's just it would be harder for a man of color versus a Negro to get one. It's harder for us. Even jobs, keeping jobs and stuff, it's harder for us. It's a little harder for us than it is them. And they know this. They know this. They know they have all the white privileges. They know everything. But they gonna show you what time it is, partner. I don't have love for my enemies. Why would I have love for a so-called white man that murdered my brother George Floyd? You tell me that. Why would you have love for a murder? They wouldn't have love for you. They definitely don't have none for you. Do one of their people like that and see what happens. You think they're gonna be running with hugs and all that kind of stuff? Oh, we love. Oh, hell no. Esau let you in so many words. You got to be out your mind, homie. We ain't loving you after you killed, raped, robbed, and murdered our family. You would never see nowhere in history where they excused a so-called black person for rape, rob, and murder of their people. Because number one, we don't do that. It's not in our nature to do that. But it's in their nature. They do it they do it all the time to us. They do it all the time. You better wake up. Let's read this. Matthews 24. And I think it is. Am I got it right? Matthews 24. It says, all these are the beginning of sorrow. Matthews 24 and 8. Verse 9. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And see that? You will be hated of all nations. You'll be hated by Esau. Our people, we will be hated. We will be hated by Esau. Especially speaking like this. Yeah. You have to understand, a snake will never love you. You can't take a snake and make a lamb out of it. A snake gonna always be a snake, and a lamb gonna always be a lamb. You can't take nothing that is fully naturally bred, a snake, and make it your friend. A snake will never be your friend. Let me say that again. A snake will never, ever, 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 ever be your friend. They're not. Dispute me. You can't do it. Try it. A snake ain't gonna never be your friend. The so-called white man, the goddamn devil that the Bible speaks of, will never be your friend. I don't give a damn how much he do for you, what he do for you. He can make you a billionaire and give you millions of dollars. That's not going to change his spirit DNA. He's still the same forever. No matter how many millions of dollars he gush out for you, gush out, a flash out and give you, a push out to you. That spirit is still the same. Remember that. Look what they say. I'm going to read that over. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted. This is talking about our people selling our people to the so-called white man. They're going to turn on you and say, hey, there you go. Then shall they deliver you, verse 9 of Matthew 24:9. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall arise, and shall deceive many. And then he goes on to say, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. See that? He says, and and then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another. Don't we see that right now? I experienced that. You see certain people that you've been knowing for years. Some of you slept in the same bed, ate from the same table, ate from the same spoon, from the same bowl. You wake up, you grown. Years later, they look at you and they'll deny you. They don't want to speak to you, and you like, damn, the Bible is fulfilling. Some of our own people gonna be programmed is to go along with the so-called white man and help turn you in, help turn us in. Whoever speaks the truth, will be the enemy to them. It's just like the spirit of Judas, selling and betraying and selling you out. That's what it is. That's why I say you have to be careful who you talk to. Everybody that say they're your friend ain't really your friend. Because number one, a friend is not gonna put you in slavery. A friend is not gonna put his knee on your neck for hours until you're dead. Mr. George Floyd. That's not the definition of a friend. A real friend wouldn't do that. Your enemy, the definition of that means the enemy would do you that. That's something the enemy would do. And the so-called white man is not our friend. No matter how much you love him, no matter how much you laugh and grin in their face, black man and black woman, the so-called white man is not your friend. A person that tells you and warn you and tell you who you are according to the Bible and tell you that's not your friend to open up and expose the truth. That's the definition of a friend. A friend will protect you from an enemy. That's what a real friend will do. A friend will see you and not see you starve the hell out and put you in a neighborhood and put you in a bad area where you're gonna struggle for food, where your car gonna be jacked up for years, and all they do is give you welfare and food stamps, and then turn around and give you Social Security and don't even give you that much. Just turn around and just give you enough just to pay your rent. And by the time you pay your rent, you ain't got nothing left. You got to scrap up and you got to live off of food stamps like a slave. That's not the definition of a friend to do that. A real friend wouldn't do you like that. A real friend wouldn't put you in a bad neighborhood, put drugs in your neighborhood, sell you poison, and put all that in your neighborhood, and then turn around and sell you loose cigarettes, put these corner stores in your neighborhood, and allow your enemies to come in our neighborhood and suck us dry. That's not the definition of a friend. That's an enemy. If you don't know, you better learn. A friend is not going to come have drugs shipped over here in the so-called American society, then put it in the so-called black community in our community, put it in your hand, and as soon as you touch it and go to smoking it, then they turn around and take and lock you up and put you in the prison system. That's not the definition of a friend. That's a definition. That's clearly the definition of an enemy, because a friend wouldn't give you nothing to harm you, and then turn around and lock you up for something that he gave you or that he intended to give you to harm you. A friend will not take and poison your zinc water and then tell you, make it hard for you, put water in bottles, and this is the only way you can get fresh water, and then put it in the store and sell it to you and tell you he your friend. Now you tell me if that makes sense or not. That's not the definition of a good friend. A friend wouldn't do you like that. Somebody that really care for you and genuinely love you wouldn't do you like that. Only an enemy would do that to you. Only an enemy would do that to us. Where you have to fix it. Where you have to get up. You ain't got no car, no transportation. You in the hood, and it's freezing fucking cold outside. Now you got to get up. This lady's children got to get up and go in the freezing cold and bum a ride and uh, get somebody to pay them for to take them to the store. Only your enemy will put you in positions like that to where you got to go out there in the cold, freeze your fucking hands up, bringing and toting water, and now your enemy wants to come and say, "Here, I'm gonna sell you a car." First of all, your enemy is not. He's gonna make your burden. No, a friend. A friend will make your burden light. An enemy will make your burdens hard. The definition of a real friend is not going to see you in that predicament. Have you see you being an older person, being a diabetic, and you suffering with all kind of illness, then turn around, turn your water off, and you're a senior citizen, barely can pay, buy bread, and sit back, and now he wants you to come and act like he the best shit ever. He's the best friend. That's not what a friend does. A friend ain't gonna never put you in a position or even think of putting you in a position like that. Let me ask y'all this question. Y'all going around marching on the streets, right? We've been marching, our people been marching on the streets. All that shit talking about Black Lives Matter, that shit was created by white supremacy. It is. Let me ask y'all this. Y'all walking around here talking about, I don't care what color you is, I still love you. I loves everybody. Let me ask you y'all a question. How well have that worked out for? Where have they gotten us? Look at us. We still in the same predicament as we was over 500 years ago. What changed? It's fixing to be 2023, right? What changed? How many so-called government, so-called white people came into our neighborhood and went to putting us in mansions, houses, and building up our bank accounts and doing all type of stuff? What happened? What changed you? Man, you know who I'm talking to. Babysitting the little white child, the white girl, or whoever you is, the so-called black woman, you and your daughter, pushing them all in the buggies, in the store, and all that kind of stuff, pushing them around in the store, and thinking that them so-called white people gonna pitch out on the back and say, "Oh, you're accepted. Oh, we're gonna treat you the way we treat us." You're gonna always be disappointed because look for it now. You're gonna be very disappointed because no matter what you do for that so-called little white Edomite devil child or whatever, they still gonna dump our asses over here and separate you and I. Yes, they is. They will never love you. I don't care what you and your daughter do for them so-called white people or white, quote unquote, Caucasian, so-called white people. They will never, never, ever, ever change. Don't look for it. You thinking they gonna give you some brownies and pat you on the back, sister? You thinking too late. They never do that to you. If you believe that, you deceiving yourself. But my question goes back. What you saying, you love everybody, you don't care if they black, white, green, or blue, right? Let me ask you something. How well have they worked out for us as a people? You and I. How well have they worked out? Did they hear you? that on video and say, you know what, we need to give them back everything that we stole, and we need to go back to Mount Seir, the Carcass Mountain, where they come from, where we come from. How well have that worked out for you? You that are watching right now, whoever you are, you know what I'm saying. You probably know somebody that done said that. Well, no matter who you are, I don't see color. Now, how in the hell does that sound? I don't see color. I don't see color. When George Floyd showed and putting our so-called black men in prison, we fill up the population more than any of them. And y'all send them out, they don't see. Well, if that was the case, wouldn't hardly none of our people be in the prison system? This America wouldn't be the way that it is. The so-called America. America was named after one white man, and Africa was named after another white man. So when you call yourself an African American, you're naming yourself after two white men. You're naming yourself after a man called America Vespucci. My grandfather used to tell me all the time, tell us all the time, my mother's dad, he said, I don't care how good. He said, look, no, he said it like this here. No matter what they do, don't you never trust them. Yeah. Now, I know I said a lot in this video, and I know a lot of people ain't gonna feel good with this video because it wasn't sugar coated, it was straight up uncut. I mean, it was straight up raw. It was straight raw as raw can be. You got to be a brave person and a powerful individual is to sit and listen to everything that I just said in this blog. The so-called white man, it'll be like a consuming fire with him listening. He couldn't stand to sit in the presence of, of, of so-called blacks, Hispanic, Native Americans and look them dead in the eye. He'll be consumed. Yeah, it's something, man. You cannot trust them. But I love everybody. I don't care what color you is, what race you is, and they sitting back laughing at you and laughing at us and saying how stupid them people really are. We don't love them like that. And behind closed doors, oh, we don't love him like that. We don't love them niggas like that. Making all of us look bad. How well have that worked out for you? Them saying that I see no color. I love everybody. How well have that worked out for us? If you had to honestly ask yourself, where have that gotten us? We not in a good position. That ain't got us. If it was so good, if everything was so, people would be saying, all right, this is what I want to say. People would say, well, all of them are not like that. And I get sick and tired of people saying shit like that. They be saying, well, all white people ain't like that. Oh, I just hate the ones that are doing that or whatever. Let me ask you something. If you got 1,000 yellow jackets or waltzes surrounded of him, is you gonna go up there and stick your hand in a million big walls just to find the three good ones that won't sting you trying to get to the three good ones? Hell, by the time you get to the damn good three good ones up in there, your ass is swole up like a damn like a damn big slob. You way out here like a damn balloon trying to get to the three good ones that ain't gonna do you nothing. That's like me telling you, I got 10 pit bulls, and out of all of the 10 pit bulls, two of them is not vicious. Just dig in there and get the two pit bulls who is unvicious, and you got the rest of the other eight pit bulls who is dangerous as fucking hell or whatever. Do you think you're gonna go through eight pit bulls that's latching onto you and then you're killing you and you got blood because they damaging you up with they latching onto you, and you're gonna go through them eight pit bulls trying to get to the two pit bulls that don't bite, that's not trained killer dogs, just to get to them. Hell, by the time you get to reaching there and get to the good ones, you dead. Because who in the hell in their right mind gonna sit up there trying to go through 100 damn eight pit bulls who is vicious trying to get to the two good ones? I'm not gonna go through all that trash trying to look for the two good pit bulls that don't bite versus the eight pit bulls that's latching the shit and picking plugs of flesh out of your skin. I ain't gonna try the shit. I'm not trying the shit. Who in their right damn mind gonna do some shit like that? Nobody but a damn crazy person. Who gonna look through 1,000 damn walls just to get to two good ones? I'd be like, hell no, I ain't going. Just only two good. I'm not gonna be trying to stick around and go through all them pit bulls just to see the two ones that don't bite. Trying to get to the good ones, and then by the time I get to the last two, I'm ate the fuck up. That's just using understanding, simple understanding, to tell you, hell no. I know a lot of people gonna hate this video. I know so-called white man, they definitely gonna hate it. Because when you spewing, yeah. So it's something, man. Yeah. So I guess it's time for me to get up out of here. I guess I'll let it go an hour. Let's go. Let's read something. Yeah. By the time. Oh, it's going to be an hour uh, in a couple of seconds. Yeah, it's an hour already. You can read simple stuff right in here, and it tells you how much the so-called white man hates. The reformer sent to Europe. The reformer sent to Europe. Again, Wycliffe was called to defend the rights of the English crowd against the encroachment of Rome, and being appointed a royal ambassador, he spent 2 years in the Netherlands and conference with the commissioners of the Pope of the popes. Here he was brought unto communication with the ecclesiastic from Italy, from France, Italy, and Spain. These were all the people who conquered the lands of Spain and France, because the original uh, Spanish and the original Spaniards are the original uh, France and Italy were black people. The people that's living in them lands now is not the original so-called Caucasian. The original Caucasian black people. But people don't tell you this. France, Italy, and Spain. And he had an opportunity to look behind the people don't tell you this. France, Italy, and Spain. And he had an opportunity to look behind the scene and gain knowledge of many things which would have remained hidden from him in England. He learned much that was to give point to his after labors. In these reputations from he read the truth, character, and aims of the hierarchy. He returned to England to repeat his former teachings more openly and with greater zeal. Zeal means passionate, and declaring that the conversion, the covetousness, pride, and deception were the gods of Rome. Covetous, covetousness, pride, and deception. Deception means lies. Were the gods of Rome. In one of his tracts, he said, speaking of the Pope and his collectors, they drew out of our land poor men, livelihood, and many thousands marks by the year of the king's money for sacraments and spiritual things that is cursed took thereof, but only this proud, worthy priest counselor by processing of time, thus healed must be spending, for he he taken over money out of our land, and sinned nothing against but God's curse for his simile. John Lewis, History of the Life and Sufferings of J. Wycliffe. Oh, okay. This battery's gonna be low, so let me. This is gonna be dark. You won't be able to read too much. Okay. Some of the words are kind of hard, but in Great Britain, primitive Christianity very early taken root. The gospel received by the the Brontons in the first centuries was thus uncorrupted by Romish policy, persecution from pagan empires, which extended even to these far shores, was the only gift that the first churches of Britain received from Rome. Many of the Christians fleeing from persecution in England found refuge in Scotland. Thence the truth was carried to Ireland. In all these countries, it was received with gladness. Okay. When the Saxon, when the Saxons invaded Britain, heathen gained control. That's talking about the so-called white man when they came in AD 321 and all those times, and they forced Christianity and they became converts. Converts mean that they were not the real Jews. It says, when the Saxons invaded Britain, heathenism gained control. The conquerors disdained to be instructed by their slaves. And let's read that again. The When the Saxons invaded, heathenism gained control. That's right. The conquerors disdained to be instructed by their slaves, and the Christians were forced to retract to the mountains. That means a lot of them refused to convert to the Jewish faith and give up what their true Jew identity. And if they refused to do that, then they killed a lot of the Roman Catholic Church was responsible for killing the Christians. When the Saxons invaded Britain, heathenism gained control. The conquerors disdained to be instructed by their slaves, and disdained to be instructed by their slaves, and the Christians were forced to retract to the mountains. And while morals, yet the light hidden for a time continued to burn in Scotland. A century later, it shows out with a brightness that extended to far distant lands, and from Ireland came the pirates, Columbia and his co-laborers, who gathered about them, and the scattering believers on the lonely island of uh, islands of Ireland made this the center of the missionary labors. Amongst these evangelists was an observer of the Sabbath, the Bible Sabbath, and thus the truth was introduced amongst the people. A school was established at Ireland from which missionaries went out only to Scotland and England, but to Germany, Switzerland, and even Italy. Okay, I want to read that part. We was talking about candles. Okay, candles were burned before images. Let's look at this here. I'm skipping y'all. It says Satan had urged on the papal priests and prelates and pretense of the prelates to bury the word of the truth beneath the rubbish of error, heresy, and superstitions, but in a most wonderful manner. It was preserved uncorrupted through all the ages of the darkness. It bore not the stamp of men, but the impression of God. Men have been unwavering in their efforts to obscure the plain and simple meaning of the scriptures and to make them contradict their own testimony. But like the ark upon the billow, billow, wow, deep the word of God to outrides the storms that threatening threatening it with destruction, as the mine has rich finds of gold and silver hiding beneath the surface, so that all must dig who would discover its precious stores. So in the Holy Scriptures have treasures of truth that are revealed only to the earnest, humble, prayerful seeker. God designed the Bible to be a lesson book to all mankind. Okay, God had designed the Bible to be a lesson book to all mankind. I don't know. Let's see. Many were undeceived in regard to the claims of Rome. They saw how vain in the mediation of men or angels in behalf of the sinner, as the true light drunk dawned upon their mind. They exclaimed with rejoicing, Christ, Christ is my priest. Christ is my priest. His blood is my sacrifice. His altar is my confession. They cast themselves wholly upon the merits of Jesus, repenting, repeating the words of without faith. It is impossible to place him. It is impossible. Without faith, it is impossible to please him. Hebrews 11:6. There is none other name under heaven. That's right. Now I want to find the part. I think it's the Candace. I want to find the part where they was talking about um where this show y'all that the tithe and the offerings were false and where they came, where they originated from. Um, yeah, that's the point I want to get to. Now their desire was granted. The fear of God no longer disturbed them. Satan was at the hand of the nations, was at the head of the nation, and religious authorities were under his sway. The leaders of the opposition, the plunder and torture their wretched victims, and again they felt upon each other, forcing and slaughtering without mercy. Even the sanctity of the temple could not restrain their horrible city. The worshippers were stricken down before the altar, and the sanctuary was polluted with the blood of the slain. Yet their blind and blasphemous presumptuous in, in instigators of the hellish work publicly declared that they had no fear that Jerusalem would be destroyed, for it was God's own city to establish their power more fully. They bade, they bribed false prophecy to to proclaim. Even the Roman legions were besieged the temple, that the people were to wait for deliverance from God to the last multitudes held fast to the belief that the Most High would interpose for the defeat of their adversaries. But Israel had spurned their divine protection, and now she had no defense. That was a lot I was reading, bro. Did y'all understand any of that? We owe to Christ. Okay, I want to find the part where it was talking about where candles were burned. The part. Okay, I want to. Excuse me. People might be called to Sunday. It was made a festival in the honor of the resurrection of Christ. That's talking about Sunday. Look at this. Disregarding heaven's authorities. To detector of error had been removed. Satan worked according to his will. Prophecy had declared that the papacy was to think to change times and laws. Daniel 7:25. This work was not too slow to attempt to afford converts. See that? That's what I just got to talking about. This was talking about those who converted to being. The word converts means these people uh, converted and became Jews,
meaning that they were the real Jews. They decided they would convert to something. When you're a convert, that means you're a fake, false, Ashkenaz Jew, which means you're not the real Jew. The Okay, let's keep it. This work was not slow to attempt to afford converts from to promote the normal acceptance of Christianity. The adoration of images and rites was gradually introduced into the Christian worship. That's right. The decree of a general council, see Appendix, finally established a system of idolatry to complete the sacrilegious work. Rome presumed to be exempt from the law of God, the second commandment forbidding image worship to divide the Ten Commandments in order to preserve the none. You see what I'm saying? The spirit of, of commission concerning to paganism opened the way for a still further disregarding of heaven's authorities. Satan works through unconsecrated leaders of the church, tampering with the fourth commandment. Also, saying to set aside the ancient Sabbath, the day which God has blessed and sanctified. Genesis chapter 2, verses 2 and 3. And its stead to exalt the festival observed by the heathen, talking about the white man, as the venerable day of the sun. This change was not at first attempted openly. In the first century, the true Sabbath had been kept by all Christians. They were jealous for the honor of God and believed in that his law is immutable. They jealously guarded the sacredness of his precept, but with great subtlety, Satan works through his agents to bring about his object, that the attention of the Sabbath must be called to Sunday. It was made a festival in the honor of the resurrection of Christ. Religious services were held upon it, yet it was regarded as a day of resurrection, the Sabbath being still sacredly observed, even though they tried to change it. To prepare the way for the work which which he designed to accomplish, Satan had led the Jews before the advent of Christ to low down the Sabbath with most rigorous exactions, making its observance a burden. Now, taking advantage of the false light in which he had thus caused, it is to be regarded to cast contempt upon it as a Jewish institution. It wasn't when you see Jewish institution, these were converts. They did that, and I can prove that at the Bible, but I'm not going to go through all of it. I'll do it another day. But I'm not going to read all of this. Um, oh, here, this is the part that I wanted to read. This is the part I got. Uh, let's start right here. Unadulterated, unadulterated by opposition. The few faithful builders upon the true foundation. First Corinthians chapter 3, 10, and 11 were perplexed and hindered as the rubbish of false doctrines obscured the work like the burdens upon the wall of Jerusalem. Nehemiah's day, some were ready to say, the strength of the bearers of burdens is decayed, and there is much rubbish, so that we are not able to build. Okay, I'm gonna read that later. Let me go ahead and let me get to the point. The darkness seemed to grow more dense. The darkness seems to grow more dense. Image worship became more general. Candles were burned before images, and prayers were offered to them. The most absorbed and superstitious ceremonies prevailed. The minds of men were so completely controlled by superstitions that that reasoning itself seems to have lost its sway, while priests and bishops were themselves pleasure loving, sexual, and corruption. It could only be expected that the people were looking to them for guidance and sinking, would be sinking in ignorance and vice. Another step in papal assumption was taken when the 11th century Pope Gregory III proclaimed the perfection of the Roman Church the amongst the proposition which he put forth was one declaring that the church had never erred, nor would it never err according to the scriptures. But the scriptures proof did not accompany the assertion. The 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 Pound Pontifex also claimed the power to depose empires and declared that two sinners which he pronounced could be reversed by anyone. But it was his perspective to reverse the decision of all others. When it says candles were burned before images, okay, all of that. And then what they did, they pretended they would pay large sums of money to the church. Look what it says. Still another fabrication was needed to enable Rome to punish by the fears and vice of her adherents. Thus was supplied by the doctrines of indulgences, full remission of sins past, present, and future, and release from all the, the pains and and pen and penitence incurred were insecure were promised to all who would enlist, and the Pontifex wars to extend his temporal dominion to punish his enemies or to ex, ex, exterminate those who dare deny his spiritual supremacy. The people were also taught that by the payment, see that? Is what the Roman Catholic Church did. The people also taught that by the payment of money to the churches, they might free themselves from sin and also release the souls of their deceased friends who were confining in the tormenting flame. By such means did Rome fill their coffers and sustain the magnificent luxury and vice and the pretending representation of him who had were not where to lay his head. Okay, I'm out. I guess I didn't give enough. I didn't say it enough. So I'm gonna get up out of here. A history lesson exposing as the truth. Exposing the truth. A history lesson exposing the truth. That's what I named.